Okay, hey, I'm Annabelle Drum. I'm in Sydney and it's midwinter.
And I'm Jeffrey in Catskill, New York, and it's midsummer.
Yay! Yeah,
Yes,
from one
yes.
extreme to the other. It's about 37 degrees Fahrenheit here at the moment. You've probably got a
It's about
warm morning, have
60.
you?
It's about 60, but it's a little rainy and cloudy today, so it's probably not going to get. It'll probably get up to 70 or 80, maybe 70.
Cool. Okay. All right. So we're here to talk about the third chakra today, and what we've done in
All
previous
right, so
discussions. Is that we run through each chakra. We've done the first and the second one so far. So we're here to ask Jeffrey questions and see what we can learn about the third chakra, which is the yellow one, right?
right, so we want to just go and describe what the third chakra is, and I guess
Yeah.
kind of the
And then we can talk about, what happens when it gets blocked and what we can do to sort of help rebalance it again. So let's start at the beginning. What is the third chakra? Where is it? And
well, the third chakra is
about it?
basically our solar plex area. So you imagine the cavity of our solar plex above our pubic bone to our belly button, and above our belly button and to like just below our rib cage and down in our stomach. So it incorporates our stomach, our small intestines,
So
our
that whole area,
pancreas.
it's not a small point like the other ones. It's a
Well,
whole
the
area.
the small point of entry would be just above our belly button.
Okay.
There's a point there, and it's all these points like they come up our belly button and on our pube and up around to our chest and all up. They run. There's 2 points. There's one point that's the meridians that runs all the way like a circle around the body, and then like the chakras, that the one point would be just above the belly button, but the chakra is the whole area, and
Okay.
the two systems of the adrenal glands that this chakra represents are the adrenals that are back at the kidneys and the pancreas that's within the solar plex. So the pancreas is pretty much, around our navel on the inside. It's kind of in our stomach and it goes into
Deeper in.
the pancreas it's a big producer of our blood and of white blood cells and the defense mechanisms of our body. And the adrenal glands help, they clean out the toxins. They regulate the hormones for our kidneys, and they know about cleansing and balancing the fluid cleansing of our body more. So.
But if you look at that whole area, I mean, it's used for sort of drawing all the nutrients out of the food, filtering out the rubbish, separating the two, isn't it? So
Right.
what we've talked about in previous discussions is that the different chakras often match in with things that are going on with our minds. So you might find that you end up with a problem down in that area around the digestive area because you tell us. Because you're having trouble filtering problems, expressing them better.
Yeah, I mean, the one of the other the main tube that runs. So then we have like the small intestines. So the small intestines is where we process all of our food, our emotions, and everything else. So the solar plex also is a very major area, and the shiatsu and the energy of the electrical energy that runs through our body. It's the center of our aura, what they call. So it has it's basically where we're getting we store our chi down in our solar plex. We store all this other vital energy through our solar plex. It's also what they would call the second brain in our body. It's also got a whole bunch of nerves and what they call those nerve plexus, where it has its own power to think. So we have this gut thought or this gut feeling, and this, like if we're running out of our lower instincts, then we're more in a survival mode. We're putting upon our stomach things that our head should be doing, but like thinking through problems and stuff. But if we're not really cleaned out and running on all of our systems, then we're running out of our guts. We're more of the times we're in a survival mode. We're just being like.
So does that mean that if you had a gut instinct people use that term when they're talking about intuition, that if you had a gut instinct and you were having problems down there, it was blocked, then you might actually get a sullied decision, do you know what I mean by sullied? Like a dirty water pipe. You might not get quite the cleanest message of your intuition.
See, that's pretty much true. I mean, in some senses, because like if we don't clean out our intestines and we don't clean out everything, then people don't even get that gut feeling. I mean, the gut feeling there, it's like you get that because it's just like something you don't think about, you just do it. But that's kind of good for a spontaneous thing, for an intuitive thing. But you can't let your gut run your whole life.
No,
unless you got to have your heart and your head involved with it. Okay. It can't just be about what I need to feel my my immediate sensations. And so the gut kind of just takes care of really like if we're in a survivor situation, and so we need to like either fight or run. This is what happens in our gut. It just says go or stay or whatever. But it doesn't really think and reason out a lot of its things. It's reactionary to survival.
It's a bit like what we learned about limbic system in the back of the brain is where what all mammals have. It's the oldest part of the brain, and it often works in a similar kind of way. So if the third chakra is blocked, so we've talked about the other two as to what can happen in there. What sort of things might happen emotionally and energetically if that third chakra is blocked up?
Well, it's if we're not processing our emotions and we're not. So the third chakra is our identity. It's the identity of ourself with the world around us. It's how we perceive ourselves, how we nourish ourselves, how we. It's basically our attitude of how we feel about the world and how we think the world feels about us.
Oh, we think it does. Yeah, that's it. And it's often, so if it's that inside area, I think it's old Toltec wisdom talks about how the whole world is a mirror reflecting back at you things that you've already got going on inside yourself as to how you feel about yourself and how you think the world sees you.
Right, and so the color of the chakra is associated with yellow. And
how come is that? Why is that?
Well, if you're going up the body, we had red for the base chakra, and we have kind of an orange for the second chakra.
Yeah.
And if we're following that color spectrum, then yellow is the next color in the spectrum. So then yellow is also, so it's the solar plex, right? The solar plexus makes up our midsection there. And it's also related to the sun, the solar system.
That makes sense.
Is the sun. So then we pull that energy of the prana in from the sun as far as energetically. So we eat food and it goes down to our solar plex. We consume energy and it also goes to our solar plex to that midpoint, which is the midpoint of the hara too, is like this point of chi that goes right in our belly. So you can develop this and have really strong energy. The chi energy is the processing of the prana, which comes from the sun or from the energy of the sun, and the kundalini, which comes from the energy of the earth. And we mix them into our bodies, and the areas that they mix is like, not only in our solar plex, but the solar plex is like where they really come together at the first part of where they come together. Mm-hmm. And that's where we start to build this internal energy. So it's a lot about, and so like when we think about the weight that we have around our solar plexus and how we gain weight or not gain weight. So it's all about
for most people it's gaining weight, right? It's not naturally slim after a while. So is that kind of like a blocking of that whole chakra? I realize that it can be to do with what kind of foods we're eating, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes people can gain weight even though they think they're eating very little, unless they're just lying to themselves.
Well, gaining weight and stuff is it comes back to processing our emotions and how we really look at ourselves. Do we really love ourselves? So it goes
we're not taught to do that, are we? We're taught the opposite.
Right, and unless we love ourselves, unconditionally love ourselves, and feel good about ourselves, we're never going to achieve really anything in our spiritual path. because all this stuff is about self-exploration and cleaning up emotional our emotions, the way we think about things. And those are the two most important things about keeping our bodies in tune and moving forward. Like if we collect a lot, if we have problems processing our emotions, say we have a poor self-image of ourselves, or we don't feel like we have enough. I mean, there's just multiple ways that people want to block themselves emotionally. So then what we do then is we add more weight to that, and it's all about the heaviness of things. So what we want to try to always do is lighten up. The more that we lighten up, the easier it is to go to the higher chakras, the easier it is to expand our consciousness out and to be more at balance and peace. I mean, we want to be a balanced person. We want to be able to walk through the world, feel good about ourselves. We feel good about ourselves, and we can respect other people and treat them with respect because, we're appreciating.
Because that's the outward reflection of inside, right? Same thing.
Yeah. So if you can't really love yourself, you can't really love anybody else. And if you don't feel good about yourself, then it's hard to keep a healthy attitude with life. It's like, how do you digest it? How do you process the daily life? Are you all stressed out? Do you
block it? Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when you get into the professional environments and, somebody is really rude to you and you just block. Okay, it's not professional to go at the moment. Let's not go crazy. We've got to hold ourselves together and be professional here and maybe be a bit witty and smart. And that's the worst that you can fight back. And you just end up blocking it and hang on to it. And you really do have to find a way to release it, don't you?
Yeah, and where do we get this in our gut? We're like, it's a gut.
Exactly.
When people are like that, attack it because that's where we have to process it at. I mean, I just know from energetics and from trying to get yourself back in balance, and that the solar plexus is basically the key to our health in our body.
Right.
If our gut is unhappy and it isn't producing the right bacteria and stuff in there, it affects how we think and feel about everything. And then how we think and feel about everything affects how we are processing the stuff in our guts. So it's like this circle that just keeps going around with ourselves.
That's it. Yeah, and affects the words and actions as well, doesn't it?
Right.
So if we can find a way to get that clear, have you got any suggestions on how we can clear that particular place, apart from just the physical, obvious things of eating clean and lots of water and the usual sorts of things to manage the physical side of things? What about the energetic cleansing of that area?
So if you take around your belly button and you pull your stomach in and out, I guess people do it, Pilates as a way of getting the solar plexus muscles to move in and out.
Oh, okay.
And it becomes a major pump. If you're all blocked up and you can't move your solar plexus and you can't do any of that, then it's like the energy just stops right here. It just stops at your gut. It's not really coming back up. It might go to your heart, or it might have some of your brain activated. But as far as actually starting back and getting all the chakras to work, you have to be able to breathe into your solar plexus. You have to be able to move it. You do these breathes and you're pulling your solar plexus in and out as you breathe in and out.
Sounds like belly dancing.
Yeah, belly dance is really good. Exercises you need to do. It's I'm not really.
A lot of the cultures, a lot of those ancient, look at Spanish ones, you look at all the Polynesians, and the Middle Eastern, and a lot of these cultures use that middle part and doing all sorts of interesting things there. It's got to be good for you, doesn't it? Really, toning all through the middle section there.
Yeah, and then if you do yoga breathing, it's like you're breathing down to that point right above you. So you want those muscles to pull the air back all the way down into your solar plexus. You want to be able to move those muscles. You gotta, so that you're creating that energy so that it's flowing through your body.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the fire. It's basically you can have the energetic fire, which is kind of the chi. I mean, it's like all this energy is in our body. So it can become a powerhouse, or we can be really weak and self-serving and kind of frumpy. And
so that's a really good point. If we get to that point where we're feeling like that, have you got an exercise for us that would light the fire again, and get things started?
Well,
go to sleep, which is what I want to do when I'm feeling like that.
Well,
must be a better way of you. Yeah, going to sleep is great, but if you're in the middle of work, it's a bit tricky to lie down on the carpet. So,
well, in the middle of work,
is it doing some powerful breathing or something that'll get things moving there again?
Yeah, breathing is probably one of the quickest ways of getting it. You have to breathe in and then kind of breathe all the way into your stomach, not so much out of your higher chest, but you breathe into your stomach. And you kind of move your stomach back and forth. You stand up, you bend over, you get up, and you kind of getting a few deep breaths and massaging around your solar plex area. And you can kind of move your hands around in a circular motion around your navel. Kind of move and smooth things out. You rotate it around one way, then you rotate it around the other way.
Okay. So it's a bit like
that would be incorporated. That's incorporated with the whole thing. So if you want to stand up, if you're feeling really drained and stuff, which may be because you don't have the right proper nutrition, you're not drinking enough water at the moment. You ate too much crappy food, and all the chemicals are now affecting you. I mean, the physical level is that if we eat too much sugar and too much, stuff
alcohol's not great. Yeah.
Alcohol. I mean,
messes with your liver, doesn't it? Is it the liver or the kidneys? I can't remember.
Alcohol messes with everything, but the liver ends up being because alcohol is poison, so the liver is always combating poison. I mean, I harp a lot about food and diet. Food and diet is so important. It's just so important about your guts. If you put a bunch of dead stuff in yourself all the time, a bunch of dead meat and really pasty pastas and carbohydrates that are just paste, you block up your intestines. And if they're not if all the little philia inside our intestines are not absorbing the nutrients and stuff, then
you're hungry all the time, right?
You're hungry all the time. You're cutting off the vital energy so that the body can absorb the vital energy. But see, this is why it's all tied back into our emotions, because people eat not only because they're hungry, they eat because of emotional comfort.
Yeah.
So you're eating a bunch. Are you not willing to go in and deal with your dark side? Are you willing to deal with, your insecurities? Why are you insecure? If you're only coming from your solar plex and you're not adding your heart into this, this is another reason. This is why you work at the chakras, each one individual, but they're all tied together as an energy force. Your whole being is. So if you don't have any heart, or if you're only coming from your head and your solar plex, and you're not coming from your heart.
The heart in it, There's no love for yourself again, is it? It's more of a logical.
There's no love for yourself. There's no love. You're not connected to people outside of you, so you're going to act out of this more I need to grab that.
It's also looking at doctors as well as to how they are trained. Doctors are trained to use the brain rather than the heart.
Yeah, and this is the age that we're coming to. We're understanding that the heart is, has a brain and it feeds everything. And it also feeds us into the dimensional factors. And the brain does a lot of work. And the brain, people consider the brain to be the mind, but the mind isn't the brain. The mind is the whole essence of our being. The brain is basically the circuit board. Or like the motherboard. Isn't it? It's more like the computer. It's like the motherboard. And
it can only calculate what you put into it as well. And if it doesn't have all the facts, then it can't give you the correct answer necessarily.
Right. So your head thinks this and that, and then so you have a direct connection with our especially with our cortex, the reason that the more left brain conscious reasoning, and our cranial functions, and that directly connects to our solar plex. Everything on our face, all this stuff collects back into our solar plexus. So they're almost
so that's how people can read faces, right? Or even iridologists who look into your eye and
you
see
look
everything.
Your eyes.
See everything going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of the shiatsu points for the stomach and stuff, and that the stomach comes into our nose and goes down to here, you know. And
okay. It's similar to the foot as well. The foot is kind of in the center.
Yeah, the face
down.
has another. Yeah, and so all these points run up and down through the belly, and it's all about allowing that energy to flow through us.
I wonder if it's worth having a little bit of a chat around being able to process emotions and that sort of thing. I'm just thinking whether we can put in any kind of exercise around that. It's tricky because if we don't know what we're dealing with here, then it might be different each time.
Yeah, the thing is that it's
I think being in tune with
so
what you're really honestly feeling is really important here, and this actually increases your emotional intelligence as well. So we found from the neuroscience stuff that I do is that the more often you tune in and go, how do I really feel about this? And sometimes if you really listen, you'd be quite surprised as to how you feel about it. It might be different from what you expect. It might not be the obvious thing to feel about it. And you can go, oh, okay. So rather than judging that and going, oh, no, I should be feeling something else, that you can stop and go, all right, so this is how I feel. How might that have come about? So you're very gentle with yourself. You're not ever pointing the finger and going, hey, come on, change. You've got to change. It's a way you can be very gentle and look into what you're doing and how you're feeling and then why, you know?
Well, it's processing it, and it's like, okay, so, right, so a lot again comes back to forgiveness and
forgiving of yourself.
The ability to forgiving yourself and forgiving of other people. But forgiving of yourself is very important, but also forgiving of other people, because you hold that tension in our guts, like you get tight.
Yeah.
You get mad and angry. You're holding it in your gut. So all that stuff stops the function of the process of elimination, because
energy flow. That's right. Yeah.
So
and forgiving other people, sometimes that can be very tricky. This is something I've looked at as well, as around the reactions. It's really useful to become very aware of your reactions. So if you said something really rude to me right now, I could choose to be offended, but that is a choice. You don't have to be offended. So it could become an insult, or it could just be a criticism, and I'd go, oh, okay, well, if you're pointing that out, it's probably because you criticize yourself along the same lines. So, for example, if you were saying to me, oh, I hate your nose, you've got this stupid nose, or, you know, you're fat there, or, you know, some sort of physical criticism, then you can usually look at that person and go, oh, okay, that just means that person has self-criticism around appearance. He doesn't accept how he appears within himself. And if I do that, then I don't take it on board and screw it up in my stomach and mess up my own energy.
Right. So if you do exercises on loving yourself, I mean, loving yourself in a true way, not loving yourself in a superficial way where you're going to put a bunch of makeup on, a bunch of clothes, and run out, oh, I look good because I put all this stuff on the top of my body. But this is about feeling good on the inside of your body, on that reflection. This is like, so if you feel good and you feel loved and you feel like you have a good relationship with your food and with the earth around you, you create this fire in your belly that's your life vital force. And it keeps you moving, and it starts hooking in with everything else.
But you end up with a different reflection back as well, though, right? So as soon as you start loving yourself and accepting yourself, you get a totally different response back from the rest of the world. You get a lot less of those criticisms because they don't affect you, so you don't attract them.
Right. If you're feeling good about yourself and you love yourself, everything else bounces off at you. You're not vibrating at that level anymore. That, oh, I'm a poor, wimpy person, or I'm mad about this, or I'm angry.
I'm fat and disgusting. That's it. So you never attract those criticisms anymore because you don't feel that way. It's so funny, isn't it? It's kind of like paradox.
If somebody says something to you, it'll just bounce away, you know?
Yeah.
Because you won't be feeling so victimized. You know, a lot of the victim consciousness comes from our guts.
We could do a whole discussion on victimizing, couldn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all energy. Am I a victim? Am I like a victim in life because this and that and this and that and this and that happened? No, but if I take responsibility for everything, then I'll clean up that problem look at whatever this emotion is and be able to confront it. I confront the darkness inside of myself. It's all about the vitality. And yes, feeling good about yourself and being vital is cleaning out your intestines. I can't stress that enough.
So I was just going to come back round to that as to what it is we can do this week between this discussion and next week, which is the same time next week, if you want to tune in for the heart chakra. I guess the best things we're going to be looking at are what? So the deep breathing of getting the
heart chakra
area moving. We're looking at exercises for the solar plexus area now to get that
solar plexus, breathing
moving.
In and out.
So try and reduce the amount of chemicals that we're putting in there. Doing the breathing exercises.
Remember, you are what you eat for your body.
I was going to say we should love our tummies this week.
You can lay down. If you're laying down in your bed or something, you put your hands on your solar plexus and you start loving yourself, saying, you deeply love yourself, and start breathing gently, and breathe into your hands on top of your belly button.
They tend to warm up, don't they? Do that when you do that?
Start breathing in and out, and then start to feel this love for love every part of your body. Think about loving your toes, your ankles, your arms, your legs. Go through your body and see what happens. And at this point, if you have resistance, or this is stupid, I can't do this, or if while you're doing that, you're feeling pains in other parts of your body, you can start to analyze how I'm feeling. You have to become
tuning in is part of it as well,
tuning
right?
into your body.
Yeah, tuning into the emotions as we go along, so we can really get familiar with, check that out. That's how I'm feeling right now. Let's look into that a little deeper and start processing those emotions. Will also help clear that area up, won't it?
Right, you feel that out. This is blocked, or if you breathe into it, and what's coming up while you're doing this? Who are you thinking about? Are you thinking about yourself? Are you thinking about, that person did this to me? I'm poor me. I can't do this, and all this stuff comes out of that area. So if you're breathing in there and kind of clearing that up, you can see what comes up.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you for today. And as I said, if you want to join us, same time next week, we'll be looking at the heart chakra as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you too.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.